public hearing, so we'll open that normally and then close it and then go into, and then I'll open mic and then regular council meeting.
Adoption of the agenda.
Right.
Yeah. And then
I'll have to open the meeting before I can adopt the agenda. Are you recording? Perfect. Good morning, everyone. We are going to open the public hearing first. This will be just a slight shift in our agenda schedule. So I declare the public hearing regarding proposed bylaw 2027-22 be open at 9:01 a.m. And I'll ask the city manager to explain the purpose of the hearing, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this hearing is to satisfy Section 230 of the Municipal Government Act, which requires anyone who may be affected by a bylaw change to have the ability to speak to council about it before the resolution is passed.
Has notice of this hearing been provided in accordance with the applicable legislation and the bylaws of the city of Wetaskiwin?
Yes, the public hearing was advertised as following. So required through our digital advertising bylaw on the city website as of January 5th. So there were 11 days prior to the public hearing with the information required in Section 606 of the Municipal Government Act. In addition, we advertised on the city's Facebook and Twitter accounts as of January 5th, 2023. We advertised in the Pipestone Flyer on January 5th, 2023 and January 12th, 2023. And then first reading of this bylaw was held at the December 12th, 2022 regular council meeting.
I'd now request Development Services provide their report regarding this matter.
That'll be me again. The parcel in question will be first rezoned from a municipal reserve to a public utility lot, as this is the appropriate designation for the stormwater management use. Once this step is completed, then up to 3 acres is expected to be subdivided from the PUL and zone direct control. The intention is that council can then control what development takes place on this parcel and can add specific conditions to the permit. The ultimate intention is to allow Hope Mission to proceed with their design and construction for a facility to assist with the unhoused and all associated support services. This will be an application made once the subdivision and rezoning takes place.
Have we received any written submissions, and if so, can you read them into record?
There were 4 submissions received, although the first submission, the person is here and can speak later in the agenda, so I will read the other 3. The first one was from R.J. Mildenberger, and he states, I am writing in support of the proposed zoning change at 5800 37A Avenue from MR to PUL as the first step towards permanency of a homeless shelter. Although I have concerns regarding the current agency's policies and practices, as well as the physical location of the proposed permanent shelter, this is something that Wetaskiwin has desperately needed for a long time, and I strongly feel that anything is better than nothing at this point. The costs associated with homelessness are high. Even if we assume that the provincial government is solely responsible for the financial costs, which is estimated to be upwards of several tens of thousands a year, there are still hidden social costs associated with homelessness at the municipal level. The strain caused by homelessness placed on our emergency services is great. By reducing the amount of emergency calls for individuals living on the street, Wetaskiwin could reduce the costs associated with protective services, thus saving tax dollars for other services and ensuring peak efficiency of services for the city of Wetaskiwin. Not only will a permanent shelter reduce the strain on our emergency services, but it will also provide a place of employment for several educated professionals. This could draw people to work, live, and spend time in Wetaskiwin. Having a permanent shelter also could help the city of Wetaskiwin and groups within Wetaskiwin obtain grant funding from various sources. In summary, I fully support the proposed zoning at 5800 37A Avenue as a step in the right direction for Wetaskiwin. Sincerely, R.J. Mildenberger. The next one was an email received by Floyd Baptiste. I am writing this email as a concerned citizen of Wetaskiwin. I'm hoping you can consider gifting this parcel of land to help the vulnerable folks Wetaskiwin has been dealing with, homelessness for years, and it's about time for the city of Wetaskiwin to do the proper thing and gift the land. After all, this is Treaty 6 lands. I'm hoping you can also consider consulting and working alongside with Musqueam Cree Nations on the work of gifting this parcel of land. Thank you for your time and consideration. Concerned Wetaskiwin citizen Floyd Baptiste. And the last letter that I have is from Carrie Clontz, emailed asking, stated that I am thankful for the work that has been started on our homeless population in Wetaskiwin by Hope Mission, and I am in full support of its continuation and the building of a permanent building to house a shelter and other needed programs. Hope Mission has many years' experience of doing this work and have good working relationships with EMS, police services, and other agencies and the government in Alberta. Many people have been helped and also been able to change their life for the better because of the work that's been done. Hope Mission has been able to ease some of the strain on emergency services by providing the needs of its clients. Wetaskiwin has a nurse at the shelter, provides food and a place to stay for people who would otherwise have to be brought into the police station or hospital. The work they do saves lives. I have seen this firsthand, and as I have been working in the shelter in Edmonton and Wetaskiwin, I personally administered naloxone to someone who had an overdose and was not breathing, which saved his life. I've also performed first aid and watched over people having health issues that refused to go to the hospital but needed to be monitored in case their condition got worse. Then there is the de-escalation of potentially violent situations that can avert RCMP involvement. The people working at the shelter care for the clients and want to help them even though they may be in danger or harm themselves. It is great to see that there are these kinds of caring people in our community. Best regards, Carrie Clontz. That's it.
Thank you. This time we'll open it up for those wishing to be heard. We have 3 people that are registered, and I'll start off with Chief Randy Erminskin. Welcome, Chief. We'll just, up at the table here and into the mic, please.
I'm on trial here. But anyway, I think from the beginning of the talks where the emergency shelters have been opened, and not just to the Musqueam community, but other First Nations that come and also non-First Nations, I think it's been a benefit, and it's difficult for us to try to bring our people home because every time we talk to them, they said, no, everything we need is here. As much as we make every effort to bring them home, and they come back anyway. As soon as they get set foot off a vehicle, out of a vehicle, they within half an hour they want to come back. So it's a difficult process trying to figure this out. And as I watch a lot of the intervention shows on TV, 99% of them relapse. So I think we need to figure out a plan, because I've been studying that, and as a researcher, when doing my studies right now, I have a difficult time trying to come up with a solution where it's consistent across the 4 nations, but also in partnership with Monika and Wetaskiwin. I think it's important for us to find a way that would help everyone. I was watching a program on TV about homelessness in Medicine Hat. I think it's Housing First, and it seems to be working for them. And they didn't even ask for permission from the community. They just went ahead and built it because they were getting a lot of opposition. But at the same time, they realized that once they built this, and it was right in the main street, and people realized after a while this program really was helping the homeless, and they were getting back into society as whatever help they were getting, but they were consistent and just whatever they chose, they were consistent in those programs. So I'm encouraged by that. So I think putting Band-Aid solutions on some of these things that we have is not working. We realize that back home in our own community, where we will throw money at something and think that, well, they'll fix themselves, but it's not working. And again, this summer when we had the visit from the Pope, again, a lot of, it opened some wounds for a lot of people. So I purposely stayed out of sight for a week after the Pope came, because there was just a lot of criticism, but I understand as I looked into the crowd, watching some of the survivors, because I was one of them, and the pain that they displayed in their faces and their reactions to every key word that the Pope mentioned. You could tell there's a lot of things that they remembered, and they went back into that, and I seen that. For example, for one of our elders that passed away last week is a former chief. He was pretty upset that he was coming, and up until the day before, he finally said, you know what, I'm going to go and support you guys. You know, it took a lot of courage for him, but at the same time, because he's a ceremonial elder, but I didn't know what to expect, because when we showed up there at the arbor, and here he was one of the first people I noticed, and it just kind of a sigh of relief for me, knowing that, you know, there's some healing taking place, because at the time when they had the ground penetrating radar, he came there and blessed the equipment, and went home and just kind of shut himself into his house. I had to go and try to talk to him. So it's not just the people here that are suffering. There's a history, and I think that's something that we need to understand. It's not just something that happened 2 years ago, 1 year ago, or a day ago. It's been a constant thing, and as they study, it's becoming hereditary for a lot of people that are suffering through a lot of addictions and pain. So I see the importance of the project here, and I went to go see and visit the site at the first time at the invitation from Mayor Gandam, and I was impressed, because just knowing that someone wants to help, and I'm thankful for Hope Mission stepping in. I know when I text Arnold and want to get together, and he said, well, I can't be there because I'm volunteering. I'm on night shift. So I can see the care and the concern for our community members, but also who's stepping in to help and to fill in those gaps for individuals. So I'm quite happy where it's and how we can figure out a way to help each other. Because I think in the open door when you came, I think we talked to the federal government at the time, and I think they gave over $400,000 at the time, and within a couple weeks or a couple months it was shut down. So I was disappointed, because like I said, it's just been stop and starts and nothing. I think we just need to have a consistent program in place so that they can assist and make our the Wetaskiwin community feel at ease in what's happening. I think the first time I came in as chief, Mayor Gandam, I came here at the old city hall, was it, at the fire station? And you know what, I was taken aback, because we only see 10 to 15 people on the streets. When I walked in there, I was just, man, there's over 200 of them. What would people do if all 200 of them were out on the streets, right? And what they just felt at ease, and they felt comfortable. So I think it's just I think it's a testament to what the city of Wetaskiwin trying to help in whatever way, because they're everywhere. They're part of your community, and they desire to be here. We know they need help, and what do we do, right? So I think that's, like I said, it's important that we can support each other in some way, and I think we can do whatever we can from from Ermineskin. I always speak on behalf of Ermineskin, and Councillor Craig Mackinac is here as well to come and listen. So thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Next, we have Ken Cherniak.
Good morning. Can City Council tell me who asked for the homeless shelter that we have now?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Can City Council tell me who asked for the homeless shelter that we have now?
What do you mean, who asked for it?
Why is it here now in Wetaskiwin? Who asked for it to be here at where it is right now?
Council. So this part of it will be a presentation by you. It's not a question and answer. If you'd like to present to council, just share your thoughts.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, on the January 5th Pipestone flyer said those wanting to provide comments about the redistricting could address the council. But the January 12th Pipestone flyer said the same, except now this is the first step of rezoning for the development of a homeless shelter added to the paper. To me, it seems that I didn't have any say about the first proposal. I believe that the City Council is only following protocol and has talked to the homeless shelter rep and knows exactly what the future holds. If this is true, and the City Council goes ahead for the process of rezoning the development of a homeless shelter, will they donate 2 acres of land? And I also wonder where the tax money is for this project. If this is how the City Council addresses the homeless shelter project to the public, I don't like what I see. These are my opinions.
Thank you very much. Ken Siemens.
I'll begin with a letter that I wrote to council. I write in support of the homeless shelter proposed by Hope Mission. I held in my memory the experience of sharing in decision-making for a homeless shelter in my previous community as I read of the struggles encountered here in Wetaskiwin last winter. Clearly something had to be done. I have visited the current temporary shelter and attended the open house hosted by the city and the mission. I believe that the opportunity for the city to have an organization with proven expertise in dealing with people on the margins is worthy of very serious consideration. Certainly the success of the work of Hope Mission with the homeless in Edmonton should be considered as council members take their next steps. However, I suspect that for a number of city residents, their support for Hope Mission's leadership in this initiative will be influenced by the significant contribution Hope Mission has already made to the quality of life for many school-age children through the programs provided here in Wetaskiwin. I urge council to move ahead with approving and supporting the construction and operation of a permanent homeless shelter. I personally believe that the soul of a community is put on public display most completely by the way it treats its weakest members. I relocated to Wetaskiwin in 2021, and I like to think that I've come to a community where those in civic leadership, the professionals among us, and the people within the business community are motivated by values that run deeper than mere personal self-interest. I like to think that they genuinely care for the community as a whole I believe that recognized leaders within a city have a significant impact on how its residents interact with each other and with the city's infrastructure. Care for the disadvantaged has the potential to improve the quality of life for the whole community. It's not possible for any one of us to say with certainty that none within our immediate circle of contact will ever be struck by adversity. Cataclysmic events strike indiscriminately without regard for social or financial standing. Sometimes they come as a result of lifestyle choices, but that is not necessarily the case. It is possible that one of our children, our grandchildren perhaps, and more likely, a parent, may be brought to a point of desperation where help is needed. And I, for one, would like to be assured that I have come to a community that cares for all. And I believe that a positive decision in favor of moving Hope Mission's proposal to build a shelter for the homeless will be a strong indicator that I have made the right decision in a community that cares. Thank you.
Thank you. So three are registered. Okay. We're going to open it up to the floor now for the public hearing portion. I'm going to start on my left here and just work my way through the room. That way you don't have to decide who's getting up and who's not. So, Councillor McEnough, if you'd like to start. If not, then we'll just move down the line. No? Would you like to speak? Yeah, just at the mic, please, just so the people that are online watching. And please just state your name for the record.
My name's Laurel Stevens. I actually grew up in the Wetaskiwin area, lived a number of other places, but I'm back here. I've been down to the shelter just to back up a bit, excuse me. I'm a retired registered nurse, and I thought maybe I could be some help there. So I have seen what's happening. I have seen the way the people are being handled. They're being handled very professionally. They're being handled very well. I think there's been 6 or 7 that have been taken to Edmonton for long-term, coming out of the drugs and alcohol and that's by their choice. It's not a forced thing. And so by the time they come through that, they should be drug-free and on their feet and independent. So I think this program is very, very good. I think it's going to help Wetaskiwin very well. I have helped out with the Louis Bull Church for the last 10, 12 years. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've heard a lot of stuff. I've learned a lot of stuff. This is very good.
Thank you. No. Yep. Please, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe they'd like to speak to this. I don't know. MP Lake. Yeah.
Well, I was planning on just coming and maybe listening and being here to support council and support the people of Wetaskiwin just with my presence. But I'd be remiss if I didn't reference the fact that I've had the opportunity to know Bruce Reith and know Hope Mission for 2 decades now, and had a chance to, at times, I don't want to overstate it, volunteer with Hope Mission, but more so volunteer with an event called Homeless Connect and on the issue of homelessness in the city of Edmonton. And there's no organization that works harder, does more, has bigger hearts for vulnerable people than Hope Mission. And as I've gotten to serve the city of Wetaskiwin as a member of parliament over the years and witnessed some of the challenges that we've had, but also some of the momentum that's been built, and gotten to know the people of Wetaskiwin and the huge hearts that people have here and the desire to see a real improvement in the situation. I just think that this is an incredible opportunity. As Member of Parliament, I am available to you as the council serving the people of Wetaskiwin to help out in any way I can with any area where the federal government can weigh in, and there are certainly areas where the federal government can weigh in, and we've been successful, as was referenced a little bit earlier, with some federal funding in the past, and really look forward to moving forward to help in any way I can. So glad that you're having the hearings here today, and glad that we have a full room of people interested in this important conversation.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nilesh, and I'm coming from like a bus test visa and donor, and she is Rupinder. She is registered.
Oh, so this is for the public hearing, not, you're later on in the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. It was good practice. Did you, no? Mr. Unland, were you wishing to speak? No. Anybody else wishing to be heard on this matter?
My name is Sue Newman. Moved here a year and a half ago. I really appreciate what you said, sir. I feel very passionately about this project and grateful that Hope Mission is offering what they have to Wetaskiwin. I'm excited that we have opened the gates between us and our friends in Musqueam, and they share a similar support, and we need to work together to address the homeless issue. And I can't think of a better opportunity for Wetaskiwin than what Hope Mission has offered to us. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Third and final, anyone else wishing to speak to this matter? I'd like to thank everyone that took part in today's hearing with their presentations, with the letter writing. Council will discuss and debate this matter later in the agenda, and I declare this public hearing closed at 9:28. We're going to start with the delegation from...
Yes.
Okay. So, we'll call the meeting to order at 9:28. Looking for an adoption of the agenda, just changing up the order, having the delegation coming up first. Someone would like to make that motion? Councillor Nielsen? Anything further? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And our first delegation from the Wetaskiwin Composite High School seniors, girls and boys basketball teams. If you'd like to make your way up to the mic, please.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Morell, and I am the senior girls team captain.
I'm Leighton Smith. I'm the senior boys team captain.
And I'm Wilson Cross. I'm the other captain on the boys team.
Wetaskiwin Composite High School will be hosting this year's Basketball Provincials Championships from March 16th to 18th. In the past, Wetaskiwin Composite has hosted the provincial championships in cross-country, football, volleyball, wrestling, cheerleading, and basketball. Wetaskiwin is a central location and an ideal place for spectators and players from across the province to come together. The last time our city hosted was in 2005 when Wayne Nielsen was the principal at the high school. This will be the first provincial tournament since 2019, with our season being cut short in grade 9 due to COVID pandemic, the pandemic taking over our entire grade 10 year, and our grade 11 year being interrupted due to the COVID outbreak. This will be our first full uninterrupted season of basketball since coming into the high school.
Because this is our first full tournament, there's a lot of excitement surrounding this event, and a successful tournament would be a great way to raise the profile of the city. This event will have an economic impact for local restaurants, hotels, and other businesses, and if run well, will benefit the reputation of the city of Wetaskiwin and will demonstrate the potential for recreational events in our city. Our games will be live streamed, and this tournament will bring 22 basketball teams from across the province to the community, including players, coaches, referees, and officials. This amount nearly reaches 1,000 people coming into our community.
As much as possible, we are supporting local businesses, including using local catering, photography, and accommodations. We understand that the Community Grant Fund application period is closed, but we were wondering if there is any leftover money that has not been allocated or dispersed. If there is no money left, would the city be able to sponsor the event through the marketing budget? We would be using the funds to go towards this tournament, and any leftover funds would be reinvested back into basketball programs in the community, such as the Wetaskiwin Minor Basketball Association. During the tournament, we would be using the money for volunteer shirts, lanyards for teams, programs and team packages, food for the hospitality rooms, for our banquet and opening ceremonies, for photography and live streaming equipment, as well as for staffing. We are asking for $5,000. And as well, we would love to have the support of the city in putting on this event, and we would love to have our mayor attend the banquet and opening ceremonies. Thank you for your time, and are there any questions?
Move to accept it as information, and then, unless you have another motion. Yep, okay. Those in favor? Carried. Any questions?
Pass up the opportunity. So is it true your coaches actually know anything about the game?
Now more than ever is what I heard.
Thanks very much for the presentation. Good luck in your season. I think it's really exciting that you get a full year of basketball.
Thank you.
When is the tournament?
March 16th to 18th this year.
Perfect. Thank you. Of course.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to the captains, thank you for your presentation. I was just wondering, 22 teams? It used to be that there was just a zone winner, and each zone winner would come, and now you're saying 22 teams?
We host boys and girls this year, and there are 3 wild cards, I believe, so the second place team from the 3 top zones are also able to attend.
Okay. So you're going to have guys and gals going all at the same time?
Yes.
And just in the one gymnasium?
We have 3 gyms. We're going to be using the high school, Queenie, and Clear Vista.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Councillor Blatz.
Hi, guys. Thank you for the presentation. It's awesome, and you guys must be so excited. So I'm really excited for you guys. I'm really excited for this event to be in Wetaskiwin. I have only ever attended one basketball game, and I know that you guys said that you would like the mayor to attend, but there's a counselor that would love to attend all of your games. So just letting you know that we're super supportive.
When's the banquet?
March 15th.
Great. Thanks very much. Sorry, go ahead.
Any subsequent motions coming out of this can be
Brought up in new business if you'd like.
Thank you.
Yep. Awesome. Good luck. Thanks very much for your presentation. Next up in our delegation, we have Monika Patel.
Hi there, my name is Monika, and we are from Wetaskiwin down at Wetaskiwin. He's my husband, Nilesh, and she's my immigration lawyer, Rupinder. So we are here to get a support for Alberta Rural Renewal Program. So more about this program, she's explained.
Good morning. My name is Rupinder, a member of an ICCRC, R508755, that's my license number. The company approached me like 4 months back as they were having problem in the temporary foreign workers and they were not able to have stagnant employees. So in that criteria, the employer asked me about the Alberta Rural Program, like how the company could be benefited for that program, so then that way they can have permanent employees. So we had done an application for the same, like almost it's 2 months back, to on the email ID which is mentioned on the Alberta Rural Program, and we did not hear anything back from them. And so we were wondering like if there is something wrong in the application, or did we do the right application or no. So we were just looking forward to that, and if the council could help us with that and like just throw some light on it if any mistakes have been done on the application. And so we just want to go through that route, so then that way the employer could be benefited with the program, and the company has the permanent employees in the future.
Administration, is there anything with that application or the, any of the paperwork that was sent in from them to us? Is there anything that we can do? Do you need a motion of council?
Through the chair to council, the last time I checked with Vern on this, we actually are not one of the communities that qualifies for this program. And so I had asked our economic development manager to look into what it would take to get us on that list. And so we're still working through some of that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And so Vern will be in touch with, perfect. So our administration will be in contact with you guys to let you know what's happening with it.
Okay.
Okay. Councillor Nielsen?
Thank you.
I didn't understand you properly. Can you come again? Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Okay, now we're going to go back. Sorry, go ahead.
I move that City Council accepts the presentation as information.
Moved by Councillor Blatz. Any discussion? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go back up to the beginning. We're going to go back to open mic. Was there anybody wishing to speak at open mic? Thanks for your patience.
Good morning. My name is Ed Tost. I'm the president of the local Wetaskiwin Minor Ball Association here. I come here to give us some good news after hearing what is going on with our community. I enrolled our program into the Field of Dreams with the Toronto Blue Jays. It's their version of Hockeyville. So what that means is we got accepted just after Christmas. We got accepted to phase 2 of our grant to help build or fix up our local ball diamonds in town. So our phase 2 is due at the end of this month. I just wanted to come in to let everybody know that we are in the process with a company that's helped Beaumont, Whitecourt, Calgary, and some other local areas in Alberta with this grant. So hopefully if we will know 2 weeks into April on live TV with the Toronto Blue Jays program if we get this grant or not. So if there's any questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we get to vote? Like, is this one of those, like with Hockeyville, where you vote, so you want to encourage the people of Wetaskiwin to vote on this?
No, it's totally different. It's just an application you fill out.
Oh,
And
okay.
then they go from there. If you get past your phase 1, then you make it. And luckily we did.
Okay.
So I've been working with the city, with the rec department and stuff like that, help me out with the forms and stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff they ask for. And it's mainly just to upgrade our diamonds, because our diamonds are pretty rough shape. So if we can fix one of them up to help our kids to be safe out there and like I said, host a tournament for in the near future, that'd be great for this community too.
That's excellent. Well, thank you for taking on the role of being president as well and,
Yeah, no
and looking after this. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish you well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else? That's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that. And if there's anything else we can do for you, if you need letters of support or if you need me to go to Toronto and watch the Blue Jays games.
What they do, like from what I've talked to Beaumont, is the president of the Field of Dreams comes out after once the diamonds are ready, and they do like a presentation and stuff like that. So if we end up getting this grant, and if the diamonds go good and we can work it out, then we'll have probably like a ceremony. Last year Beaumont had it around July. They came out, they tore around to all the locations, goes from east to west, across the Canada. So it's good for us, it's good for our town. I thought we'd take a chance, and we're in the second phase, and the gentleman in Beaumont I've been in contact with, he says we have a really good chance of maybe getting this grant for our community, so that would really help us out.
That's
and
awesome.
help our kids too.
Thanks very much for taking the time to do that. I appreciate that.
No worries. Have a good day, guys. Anything else? Any other questions? We're all good?
No,
Okay.
you're good. All right, we can go into the consent agenda. Pardon? Yeah, because I jumped ahead in the agenda. I was just going to say, now you have to make that motion.
I move that City Council approves the consent agenda without debate. December 2nd, 2022 special council meeting minutes, December 12th, 2022 regular council meeting minutes, council attendance reports as of January 12th, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Blatz. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. And item 8C, Hope Mission Indigenous Training, Programming, and Ceremonies.
Good morning, Council. Before I get into my report, I do want to note that we've invited Bruce Reith and Kelly Rowe from the Hope Mission today to be able to provide a little bit more context for the details in my report. The purpose of my report today is to provide an overview of Hope Mission's plan to incorporate Indigenous training, programming, and ceremonies as part of the services offered at both the existing emergency shelter being provided today, as well as the proposed emergency shelter and transitional housing facility that's proposed in the future. It should be noted that upon receiving a motion in mid-December from Council to reach out to the Hope Mission, we did so on December 21st to gain a better understanding of the plans to incorporate Indigenous training, programming, and ceremonies as part of the services offered, both at the existing site as well as the proposed site. In speaking with representatives from the Hope Mission, they echoed the importance of Indigenous support services such as staff training, programming, and ceremonies within their emergency shelter facilities in Alberta. Since opening in Wetaskiwin, the focus of the Hope Mission has been getting the emergency shelter operational and stabilized to ensure that the Wetaskiwin's unhoused population has access to warm shelter. The Hope Mission has noted that they do have plans for programming within the facilities once the shelter has become more established. The Hope Mission did reinstate to administration that their core business is focused on providing emergency shelter and housing to individuals that require these supports in Alberta. The Hope Mission, while understanding the importance of Indigenous supports, does not currently have the knowledge or expertise available internally to provide these services. So recognizing this, the Hope Mission recently hired a staff to connect with Indigenous knowledge keepers to gain a better understanding of the types of programming and ceremonial services that can be offered to Indigenous persons within the shelter. As well, the Wetaskiwin Hope Mission staff have also reached out to Musqueam as well as local community groups in an effort to identify appropriate partners to begin providing these services to their unhoused clientele in Wetaskiwin. The Hope Mission has mentioned that they have approached the Government of Alberta to provide an increase in operational dollars to expand their programming in Wetaskiwin, which would include Indigenous programming and supports. The Hope Mission mentioned that without an increase in funding from the GOA or any other source, that it is difficult to provide expanded programming that the clientele requires. Staff from the Hope Mission, as noted, are here today to speak to or provide any feedback or answer any questions that council might have. And with that, I can conclude my report.
Councillor Elliott.
I would move that we accept that as information.
Moved by Councillor Elliott. Any discussion?
I have a few questions, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
And this could be to Bruce or to Kelly. I still have a major concern that, following up with what Chief Randy spoke about, I really think that the ceremonies and the cultural aspect are very, very important in our community. And I think to say that if we don't get funding, then we can't do it is misleading council. When we asked questions previously, when Kelly was in front of us, Kelly said yes, they would be looking after some of the Indigenous, the aspects of Indigenous ceremonies and culture. At Pasagasteo, the Healing Lodge at Musqueam, the recidivism rate is 88%. Their programs are based on elder teachings and ceremonies, and they have found that it is very effective. I feel that having an elder on site, going through ceremonies, having a smudge room would definitely help those people who are seeking help. Sending them off to Edmonton might be a good way of helping some people, but the majority of people, they come in every day. They don't just come in today and then don't come back for a week. So you have somewhere between 30 and 50 who are coming on a regular basis. So I feel very, very, very strongly about that. I also feel really strongly about having a recreation program available, which would include some sort of a gymnasium or recreation room in which the people who are coming to Hope Mission have a chance to do some recreation rather than just sitting around all the time, that they actually have the ability to recreate. So I feel very, very strongly, Mr. Mayor and Council, that the Indigenous component of Hope Mission should be included in our, if we're going to contribute the land to this project. I appreciate how much Hope Mission has done. I have a lot of respect. Councillor Blatz and I accompanied Kelly for a tour of Hope Mission in Edmonton, and we're very impressed with what they're doing. And I don't want to belittle any of what they're doing. I just think we could add to that by having an Indigenous component on site in Wetaskiwin. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Billingsley.
Thank you. Through the chair to, I guess, council. I struggle a little bit of telling Hope Mission how they conduct their business when we're not the ones who are contracting them out. We are providing the land for this facility, but we have said that this is not our responsibility in whole. We're a partner in it, but we're not employing Hope Mission. So as much as I agree that these things should be done, to me that we could lobby the provincial government for them to talk to Hope Mission of what the provincial government, because they're the ones who are funding it, not us. I really struggle with us telling them what to do.
I don't think it's council telling them what to do. Through one of the presentations, when they were asked if they were going to offer some Indigenous training and some cultural sensitivity for their staff and making sure that the clientele that is utilizing the shelter space also feel comfortable where they're at. We were told by them that that's what was going to be happening. I think we have a responsibility as a council that while we're not contracting out the service, we're not overseeing it, we don't sit on the board, that if we're going to have a service that's being provided in our community, that it's going to be useful and it's going to have some effect. And when over 90% of the clientele that is utilizing shelter space, whether it was when the city was operating an emergency shelter, when it was contracted out, when another agency was running it, has that high number of First Nation or Indigenous representation, I think it's important that no matter who's operating that space, they understand that and understand the cultural differences between the two. And I think given our history of shelters in Wetaskiwin, contracted or agencies that have been operating in the community that haven't gone as well as they could, I think it's prudent that council does ask these questions and ensures that these services are being provided to the people that are utilizing the shelter or whatever the space or the programming that's in place. If we're going to be offering, or if council is going to be looking at donating land for something like that, I don't want to be checking a box and saying, well, we've done everything we can for our homeless population. It didn't work out. We tried. I think that we also have a responsibility to make sure that whoever's setting up or is operating that space is going to be successful as well. And I think we've lived in the community long enough to know what kinds of things are going to help make it successful, not overseeing the entire operation.
To follow up then, so if, and I'm not saying Hope Mission isn't going to do anything, but what if they decided not to do any of those things? Would we just say, guess we don't have a shelter?
I'm going under the report back from administration saying that they are going to be, and asking Kelly that at a previous council meeting saying that that's what they're going to be doing. I'm taking it at their word that this is the work they're going to be working towards. This isn't something that's going to be a light switch where it's going to be from nothing to everything. This is just something that I'd like to see them working in. And so, given the report from our administration when they've contacted Hope Mission saying that this is their plan to move forward, and hearing it from Hope Mission when it was directly asked by one of our members of council, this is the direction they want to go into, I think the council is emphasizing the importance that it has in our community.
Yes, and I agree to that these things are important. I just really struggle with us, since we're not contracting out Hope Mission, telling them how to conduct their business.
Yeah, and if it was a matter of that, of a yes or no, it might have changed my answer, the direction, or my support at a previous council meeting if they said, no, we have no intention of offering any type of Indigenous or cultural sensitivity training for staff. I definitely would have had to think about what it was that we were bringing into our community. But I've been told through our administration and their talks with Hope Mission, and I've been told by Hope Mission that this is what they're going to be working towards, and that's what I support. I don't want something coming into the community that isn't going to be successful, because we've had a number of unsuccessful attempts at this rate. Councillor Aberlin?
Thank you, Mayor Gandam. Through the chair to council, but mostly Councillor Billingsley. I'm echoing many of the things that Mayor Gandam said, in that I was asked sort of separate when we had this debate in December what my thought process was. And for me, it's the differences between immediate needs and long-term needs. And I'm not a person that's saying only Indigenous training. I'm saying that it is open to all of belief systems, all of these things. I need to see that access for us to continue something that's good and something that will not be, council has been approached as to why we're not doing things properly, this, that, in previous years. And of course I wasn't on council at that time, but this is our chance to say, here is the expectations as a community that we have. And if that's coming back to us in questions, okay, because at that point it is our land giving away for this, our land. I don't like that, but the that those 2 acres that we are not asking for taxes back from, that we're not asking for any of that stuff, we want to build it for success, and we've been the ones in the communities seeing what success could be and what wasn't successful. So that's where my questioning was coming from. An immediate emergency shelter is different to me than this long-term. Immediate emergency, yes. Long-term, I think we can build something long-term with an expectation of what's happening in our community. Thank you.
Anything further? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 8D, CO-018, social media policy.
Hi, Council. I'm here to present for your review and feedback the Council social media policy. Administration was directed to develop a Council social media policy on September 16th, 2022. So the policy that we've developed for Council social media was developed in such a way that acknowledges both the value of social media use by elected officials and that the decision to use social media is a personal decision by each individual councillor. The objectives of this policy are to make recommendations for councillors to follow if they choose to use social media, provide standards to align administration and council in supporting each other through online mediums, and to ensure that any online activity by councillors upholds the city's values and protects the interest of council, the city, and the Wetaskiwin community. The policy provides useful definitions related to social media and social media platforms and aims to provide comprehensive general standards, standards around official content and spokespeople, policy, disclosure, and legal standards, compensation and incentive standards, respectfulness standards, and election campaign standards for councillors to be aware of when using social media. Yeah.
Councillor Aberley.
I move that City Council approves CO-018, Council social media policy as information.
Moved by Councillor Aberley. Any discussion? Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to clarify, so if I have my own social media at home, that is still can be searched and I have to be totally respectful in my own social media as well as on my own, on my city computer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be our recommendation, is that you uphold, even if you have a personal social media, like say you have a professional social media account that you use strictly for councillor business,
yes,
and then you have a personal social media account that you use just personally, we would still advise that you identify yourself as a councillor on that personal account, and also be advised that we are recommending that you adhere to the standards in the policy. Just because even if you have the maximum privacy settings, anything on social media is not private, really.
So if I'm interacting with my family on a separate social media, I still should be
respectful.
So I can't make comments about the mayor or anything like that on my own personal.
I would advise not to, because you never know when those conversations could be made public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Aberley.
Thank you, Mayor Gandam, through the chair to administration. If you could clarify something that you said. If on my personal social media page, I have to identify myself as a councillor. Can you expand on how I would do that? Like every time I enter something, I have to say, I am a councillor. These were great pictures, and I'm being a little facetious. These were great pictures from your trip, or is it in my profile I put?
Just in your profile, yeah.
So as long as it's somewhere in my quote-unquote permanent information, thank you.
Absolutely.
And for this to be a policy, you would need a motion from council.
Yes.
Right?
At a later date, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean like right now. I thank you for the time. This was a request that I had made, and it was more so be proactive instead of reactive. Not that anybody on this council would be disrespectful in a social media platform, but in following terms later down the road, there's something there that potentially there would be something there to be able to hold members of council accountable, just like we hold our staff accountable as well, using that social media platform. So I thank you for your time. Anything further? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 9, staff reports for decision, update on Manluk Center service levels, staffing capacity, and the recruitment program.
Good morning, Council. Natasha Grant, Manager of Recreation Services, is unable to be here in person. We do have her virtually, but I will present the report, and then Natasha will chime in with answer any questions Council might have. And so the purpose of today's report is just to provide Council with an update on service levels, available staffing capacity, and lifeguard recruitment that's currently happening at the Manluk Center, Wetaskiwin Regional Aquatics and Fitness Center. So on October 11th, Council approved a reduction in service levels at the Manluk Center by closing the facilities on Sunday, starting on October 16th, until our staffing capacity could improve. This temporary reduction in service levels was in response to an ongoing lifeguard shortage, not just across the province, but also across Canada. Staffing capacity has not improved, unfortunately, since administration's last update on November 28th. The city is currently posting for part-time lifeguard 1 position, part-time lifeguard 2 position, and 2 additional full-time lifeguard 3 positions. At the end of 2022, 1 application was received for a lifeguard 2 position, and we have not received any applications for any of the other positions. We have reached out to our municipal counterparts in the region to inquire about loaning out lifeguards. The main challenge with this approach is the availability of lifeguards, as well as introducing strains to our existing level of compensation for existing Wetaskiwin aquatic staff. Administration will continue to explore discussions with other municipalities to help increase staffing capacity to see us return the Manluk Center to pre-COVID service levels. Additional capacity challenges include competing priorities for part-time staff. We have a number of part-time staff that attend post-secondary or work other full-time jobs, and as well with our part-time casual lifeguard staff, availability outside of weekends is a challenge. In regards to the recruitment program, our aquatics team has designed an upcoming lifeguard recruitment program to train and recruit our next generation of lifeguards by removing registration barriers, as well as waiving the registration fee for each course required to become a certified national lifeguard. The City of Wetaskiwin requires that those individuals be at least 16 years of age by the National Lifeguard Exam to register. We have hosted an information session on January 4th. It was held at 4:30 at the Manluk Center. Natasha will be able to speak to the number of candidates we received. When we wrote this report, we hadn't yet conducted the information session. But interested candidates for future lifeguards can submit a resume through the city website. We are in the process of conducting interviews currently. Then formal training will start mid-January and conclude at the end of March. Candidates must complete all courses in the order that they are scheduled, and candidates must complete 30 hours worth of in-house training before they can lifeguard on their own. So our plan to return to pre-COVID service levels, essentially what it comes down to is we require more senior lifeguarding staff to act as supervisors before we can increase service levels. We estimate that we can start resuming service levels in April of 2023, but this is very much dependent upon the ability to hire new lifeguard 2 and lifeguard 3 positions, as well as a strong influx from the 2023 recruitment program. We acknowledge that the City of Wetaskiwin needs to be more aggressive and creative in recruiting and attracting, given the existing lifeguard shortages, and we are exploring a more aggressive recruitment campaign and working with regional municipalities to identify opportunities to improve service levels at the Manluk Center sooner than April 2023. We will report back to Council in March 2023 to provide Council with an additional update on the lifeguard shortage and our ability to return to pre-COVID service levels. Just on the implications of the decision to the reduction of service levels are having on the organization. Closing on Sundays is resulting in a loss of revenue of approximately $940 a week. And in regards to the ability to provide program and service, closing on Sundays impacts those individuals wishing to come to public swim, so approximately 275 people per week. And closing on Sundays does not impact any other programming, including swimming lessons, fitness classes, swim club, or aquafit classes. And that concludes my report at this time. Natasha Grant is available virtually to answer any questions that you may have, as well as I am. I am in front of you right now, so I'll take any questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. We'll introduce or entertain a motion and then, yep.
I move that City Council directs administration to provide an update on Manluk Center service levels, staffing capacity, recruitment program, and compensation comparators in March 2023. So
Moved
you'll
by
see that I have added.
Councillor Nielsen, yep. Okay, discussion? Councillor Nielsen. Councillor Elliott isn't ready anyway, so go ahead, Councillor Nielsen.
Trying to throw me off here.
I've been waiting months for that to happen.
I don't know how. I added the comment about compensation packages. We've raised the question from time to time as to how we are competitively in providing compensation to our lifeguards. I know there was a conversation around this relating to compensation review generally across the entire city grids, but given, and I don't know when that exactly takes place or intended to take place, but I think this is imperative that we get those comparators now so we can make good decisions moving forward for our community, and I'd like to see those included in that March 2023 report.
Does that give you enough time, Sue? Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Paul. Similar to Councillor Nielsen, if we were paying $4 an hour more, would we have students at post-secondary institutions maybe willing to work for us on weekends? That's a hypothetical, but my understanding is that they go to Leduc but don't want to come here because it's less dollars.
Yeah, through the mayor to Councillor Elliott, what motivates an individual to travel, a distance for employment might be more than monetary reward in some cases, right? Our staff, as per Councillor Nielsen's comment, have already started and begun to look at how much more, comparative to our municipalities in the region. But to answer your question, I'm not sure that we know that exact figure of a dollar amount more that will actually get people to come. It will really, in speaking with our regional comparators as well as knowing what we pay now, I think we just need a better sense as to how much more dollars would it take to start bringing some people, but until we actually post for those jobs, we won't really know. Natasha, do you have anything else to add to Councillor Elliott's comment?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
No, for some reason it's super quiet, yeah. Natasha. Yeah.
Oh, now, can you hear me better now?
No.
Shoot.
It's going to kick in.
All right, what about now? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Okay, I literally have my nose on my microphone here. So, through the chair to Councillor Elliott, I do believe that additional compensation would help. When I was doing the comparator info, we are quite a bit lower. However, I don't know if it would help us get open sooner than the April date that Paul had provided in the report. I do think that the compensation would help more long-term with retention of experienced staff rather than them leaving to other communities.
Thank you. Just one further question. Natasha, when university is finished, do we have a number of students who wish to work for us in the summertime at the Manluk Aquatic Center?
Through the chair to Councillor Elliott, that is correct. Usually when post-secondary concludes in April, many of those staff are coming back to us and have more availability.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? We're ready for the question. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 13, need a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Nielsen.
I move the City Council proceeds with the meeting in a closed session to discuss a matter which falls under Section 17 of Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, exceptions to disclose.
Moved by Councillor Nielsen. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We will Welcome back. Looking for a motion to come out of closed session. Councillor Lonsdale, those in favor? Carried unanimously. You have motions coming out of? Okay. A motion on the screen if somebody would like to make it. Councillor Blatz.
I move that City Council award the naming rights request for proposal for the Civic Center to Wetaskiwin Co-op for a 10-year period.
Moved by Councillor Blatz. Any discussion? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously, and it shall be known as Co-op Place. We'll do a ribbon cutting ceremony tomorrow at 10 a.m. You're all welcome.
Mr. Mayor, just regarding that, could we get like an Iceman jersey or something to wear, or a co-op shirt? So that we all kind of look the same, just to make it look a little more prominent. I don't know, I just was thinking that.
Might be short notice for an Iceman jersey. They don't smell very good.
Okay. No, I just was thinking something to kind of, and I was thinking as well for the opening ceremonies for the curling, that maybe we show up, quote unquote, in uniform, just so that we all, like, I don't know.
If we all want to look the same, you all need to bring boxes to stand on so we're as tall as Dean.
But no, I was just thinking it would look kind of more official if we, I don't know, show up in city jackets or whatever, but I just thought this is a provincial thing as well, so thank you.
I don't know if we have anything available, but I definitely think we could look into some council apparel so that we can look like one another. I will be wearing a suit. So if you'd like to wear a suit, you could wear one. Yeah. It's a big deal. But then you can't go curling.
Just bring your broom.
Anyways.
Do you ever?
Okay, moving on to new business. I believe we have some proposed additions. Councillor Nielsen.
Yes, I'd like to add 14E, financial support to WCHS Provincial Basketball Championships.
I had that as well. Anything else? I have one looking for permission to attend Abuse Against Elected Officials, Bucking the Trend Symposium. Tackling abuse in the political realm. The chamber had made me aware of the symposium. It's a 2-day session. And I think it was $750 for the 2 days. So that'll be 14F. Anything further? So adding to the agenda, support for WCHS provincial basketball. Need 2/3 approval. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. And my attendance at the Bucking the Trend Symposium for Abuse Against Elected Officials. Ready for the question? Those in favor? Opposed? Still got 2/3.
My hand went up.
When she sent me the information on it, I said I could speak to how elected officials get abused.
I can be your guest speaker.
Yeah. Can I get in for free if I do that? Okay. 14A, facility repairs.
Good morning, Council. Before you today is a request for decision for our facility repairs. Unfortunately, this came up after budget deliberations last year, but it was noted that our RCMP detachment building was having some heating issues, as well as the City Hall heating and ventilation system is requiring some upgrades. So we are requesting to use up to $79,000 from our contingency reserve. One risk if we do not complete these two upgrades is the heating and ventilation infrastructure will be damaged further and have further repercussions if that does occur through the winter.
Councillor Nielsen.
I move that the City Council approve spending up to $79,000 from the contingency reserve for required facility repairs.
Moved by Councillor Nielsen. Any discussion? Councillor Billingsley.
Thank you. Through the chair to Kathy, how many quotes were obtained for so said work?
Through the mayor to Councillor Billingsley, we would have received 3 quotes, or up to 3 quotes, I guess, for each one of the buildings.
And what exactly is the process of that? Do we then phone the local business, or is there a vendor list? How exactly is that process done?
Through the chair to Councillor Billingsley, so it depends on the item. We do have pre-qualified contractors that have gone through a proposal before, and so we do go to those vendors and contractors for pricing. Sometimes we'll just call up 3 local businesses to see for supplies or contracted services.
And finally, do we, in that situation, would go to the lowest bidder?
Through the mayor to Councillor Billingsley, it would depend on, I guess, typically it's the lowest bidder if they are supplying the exact same items that we were requesting.
And is what happened on this occasion?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 14B, airport navigation beacon replacement. Go ahead.
Okay, so this item, so again, this occurred after budget deliberations last year. Our airport beacon light stopped working just at the end of December. We have, I guess, found that the rotation and motor and the wiring was failing, so it's been removed. We have a NOTAM issued for all of our pilots in the area. We're looking to, the beacon right now is over 30 years old, so we're looking at replacing the beacon. It has a 1-year warranty. It would go from halogen lighting to LED. That'll reduce our electricity costs for that. We do have alternate options that we could refurbish the existing beacon. The only unfortunate part is we don't know when we would get replacement parts, nor is the contractor able to guarantee that it will work for any duration of time past when they fix it. So we're just looking to utilize up to $8,950 from our contingency reserve.
Councillor Nielsen.
I move the City Council approves $8,950 to be taken from the contingency reserve to replace the airport navigation beacon. I do have a question. Through the chair to Kathy. Kathy, I was online a couple of days ago trying to find out the cost of these things, and of course there's nothing there. You can get quotes. But does $8,950 give us a suitable replacement, or are we lowballing our requirements there? And the second part of that question is, if we spend this $8,950, what kind of warranty is on the equipment that would be purchased?
Through the mayor to Councillor Nielsen. So this $8,950 is from a quote that we did receive, and it would be a 1-year warranty on parts. It does have, it's essentially the same type of beacon that we had currently on the building, except it's using LED lighting versus halogen. It does the same thing.
Would it be in our best interest to spend more money and get, if you were to spend more money, would you get a better warranty period?
Through the chair to Councillor Nielsen, I believe that it's standard 1-year warranty for any of the new light that we're requesting.
Thank you.
Further? We're ready for the question. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 14C, Councillor Elliott, request for per diem approval.
I move the City Council approves Councillor Elliott to virtually attend the 2023 Sustainable Communities Conference, February 7th through 10th, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Nielsen. Anything to add, Councillor Elliott?
I just think it's a very worthwhile conference. I attended in the past. They have some very interesting things on Indigenous people as well, and Indigenous relations with communities and things. So that's why I would like to attend virtually. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Blatz.
Through the chair to Councillor Elliott, I agree. I'm very excited that you're going to be attending it. So I'm really happy that you came forward with this request, because now you can attend the 2 sessions that I'm going to be moderating at the Sustainable Communities Conference. So I'm going to put that plug in there. And, I am now the moderator for the economic advantage of climate action in Canada. And so I'm going to be moderating a session that's going to have a CEO from Environment Indigenous Canada. So that might be something that might interest you.
Good. Right for the question. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 14D, Councillor Billingsley, request for per diem approval.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that City Council approve Councillor Billingsley to attend the 2023 ECDEV Association Experience Conference in Kananaskis, April 12th to 14th, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Elliott. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Billingsley?
Certainly. Now that I'm a new board member with CAPE, I was strongly encouraged through the chair and the executive director to attend this conference. CAPE will be paying the conference registration fee. I'm just asking for the hotel, which I think was $600 or something to that effect, and then just mileage and per diem.
Anything further? We're ready for the question. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 14E, financial support for the Wetaskiwin Composite High School hosting basketball provincials.
Thank you. I would like to move that council directs administration to provide financial support up to $5,000 to the ASAA /WCHS Provincial Basketball Championships.
Start over. See, this is why we're going to be here through lunch.
I move council directs administration, you got that? To provide financial support, comma, up to $5,000, comma, to the ASAA /WCHS Provincial Basketball Championships. We're good? If I can speak to that real quick?
Yeah.
I know the delegation here, in speaking with Mr. Cross and Mr. Adair before they left, they are looking to see Wetaskiwin City be a primary sponsor for the tournament. And I know they have some documentation. Do you want to share that? Or has it been shared? Or? Yeah.
We were hoping the city would take on a role. This is kind of more for businesses, so there are copies of people want to take a look.
Can you, sorry, you'll have to be at the mic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Wood. I'm chairing up the Provincials Committee for Wetaskiwin this year. So I guess the question you were asking was just if this is the sponsorship form that we had written up. So it just gives an idea for businesses that want to sponsor. We were hoping that the city would take on a role of just kind of helping fund the provincial. So I don't know if you guys are looking for any sort of advertising. We would of course love to include them in any advertising that we're doing online or where our sponsors will be listed. And then obviously we'd love any support as well from the city.
And I'm sorry if I misplaced my comments.
Yeah.
When I talked about the $5,000 with Rob, he indicated that would potentially be a platinum sponsorship.
Yes, so technically it would be the platinum sponsorship. I think what we were looking for from the platinum sponsor, though, was that it would be a business that would want their name on a shirt, and we were going to help provide shirts to all of the team players that were coming in. So if that would be what you would be looking for from the city, but obviously it would be great to leave that opening up for another business so that we're able to further sponsor the event. We are looking to, our goal in sponsorship is to raise $26,000 to go towards the program. So the city is one of many sponsors that we're looking for. Yes.
Councillor Aberley.
Thank you, Mayor Gandam. Through the chair, and I'm sorry I did not catch your name.
That's all right. My name's Chelsea Wood.
To Ms. Wood and all council, I'm fully in support of the motion, and I think it's a great idea, and we're just clarifying that the $5,000 is not for the entire program. You're looking for $5,000 from City Council right now to be the sole sponsor, how I understood it, of this tournament that's happening in March?
That's correct. It wouldn't be a sole sponsorship.
It would?
It would not be.
Would not?
We're
Okay.
not looking for a sole sponsorship from the city. It would cost considerably more to fund the program. The tournament itself for the weekend is going to cost considerably more. So the city would be one of many sponsors that we're looking for.
Awesome.
Does that answer
Thank
your
you.
question?
Yeah, it does. And then just as a follow-up to that, through the chair to Councillor Nielsen, can you clarify for me why you said up to 5,000?
Because I have no idea what dollars are available from the city or where Sue would see those dollars coming from. I'm in support of the $5,000, but I don't want to hamstring administration to go.
Yeah, I just didn't need it to understand. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Councillor Billingsley.
I am not in support of this, and not because I don't want to support basketball in our community. I think that this is a great avenue for those young children, they're not children, young kids. It's just a good thing. Having said that, to me, as far as the city goes, this sets a kind of a dangerous precedent that we, does that mean when minor hockey wants to put on a tournament or a golf tournament or any other things in this community that we now are going to start supporting things such as this? This also is through the school system, and to me this is something that the school board should be funding and not the city of Wetaskiwin.
Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, as well, do not support this. I think we are setting a precedent. We've had a number of provincial activities go on in our province or in our community, and we have not supported them financially. They have the option to get all these different sponsors, for one thing. Admission can be charged at the door. Teams could pay a registration fee as well. And I just think we're having the Scotties Tournament of Hearts that next weekend. They are not getting any financial support from the city. So there's other events that are going on. And I just think that this comes under the Minister of Education, and I just feel really strongly that the taxpayers of Wetaskiwin should not be paying for this. Although I support this, and I've hosted provincials myself when I was coaching volleyball, we never asked for anybody else to support us. We we looked at it ourselves, so thank you.
Councillor Blatz?
Through the chair to administration, do we have the number of what our surplus was for the grant and aid program?
Through the chair to Councillor Blatz, I do not have the exact number, but there was significantly more than $5,000 in the surplus for that grant and aid.
So through the chair to council, I guess I don't see this as us funding a like sports team or anything like that. I see it more as a grant and aid kind of process where we have those surplus dollars in case there's an event that comes up throughout the year and we can have people come forward and speak to it. To me, this is just like any other community event where somebody can come forward on behalf of that event and say that they would like to see some dollars put towards it. So in my opinion, it would be something that would come from the grant and aid program, and it is something that I think does fall under that application process. Thank you.
And I was feeling very similar to Councillor Billingsley and Councillor Elliott. I feel like that could have been a slippery slope, or can be a slippery slope, in that we've had other delegations and presentations looking for money to either advertise or sponsor at the event. Council's direction has usually been that's an administrative decision, not a council decision. We have the opportunity through the grant and aid for these events to take place. So I am less concerned about advertising at the event and more in favor of supporting an event taking place. And with the surplus in our grant and aid, I would support this motion through that, not in terms of advertising, but in terms of putting on an event as per the grant and aid.
But the deadline was missed, for one thing.
Correct.
And the other thing is, we are setting a precedent. So everybody who wants to run any kind of an event provincially, we're going to say, we'll look at it. I really think, I mean, I support what's going on. I have no problem with any of that. But I just think that we're opening a door that we're going to have trouble shutting.
And for me, I absolutely would want somebody who is looking at putting on an event like a provincial tournament to come to council and ask for support for that, and then have that opportunity. I think that's part of the reason that we're looking at changing, or looking at, not necessarily changing, but taking a look at our grant and aid policy so that we can accommodate things like that, so that we don't have a once per year intake, so that we do have the opportunity that if something halfway through the year, an opportunity presents itself to a group or an organization to host an event, that we have the ability to still offer those grant and aid dollars that we've budgeted for. So I wasn't in favor looking at it in terms of advertising, because we've had that conversation before, but I certainly am in terms of a grant and aid and making sure that these types of events are done and done well, and that the city is shown well. Part of the reason that I wanted to take more of a focus on making sure our facilities and our parking lots and everything else look good while these events are going on, and less in terms of advertising dollars with other agencies. I think that we have a way better showing for our community when we look good, when 22 teams are coming into the community and we got 1,000+ people coming in here that are parking. If we've got a foot of snow and all of that's been cleared and the ice has been cleared, and making sure that we look good when we come into the community, as opposed to putting our name on something, advertising that Wetaskiwin is a city in central Alberta. Councillor Billingsley?
Thank you. And I certainly would support that in the sense that if it's gift in kind, in other words, like you say, doing the parking lot, I mean, giving them the $5,000 is not going to clean the parking lot. They're not going to use that money to do snow removal or garbage pickup or to beautify the surroundings around the gymnasiums. And I guess I also would like to know, what exactly is the policy on grant and aid? If this money is to come out of there, is there a mechanism after the deadline when we had completed that, I guess, at budget, to take money out of there? Is there anything in the policy?
Did you have something?
No, I was waiting for a response.
Okay.
And then I do have.
Yeah. Go ahead. We'll look that up.
Okay. While I appreciate my colleague's concern about opening Pandora's box and setting precedent, I think what we're also saying, if you do support it, what we're saying to our local businesses, we think you're important. We think you're important enough as restaurants and as hotel operators that we support bringing business into their community to help you maintain your business in our community. I do understand the concern, but I also think it's important that we have those conversations on an individual basis as opposed to simply blanketing. We should never support a provincial championship or a Scotties championship. And I understand the Scotties did not ask for money, so nor did we ante up any. But I do wonder if we'd be in the same conversation if they had said, yes, we'd like a couple $1,000s. Would we simply say, no, we don't do this kind of thing regardless of what goes on in our community? I would like to have those conversations as they come forward from various groups, because I think there are benefits to our community that sometimes outweigh the requests that might come forward. And we might annoy some folks along the way by saying yes to one and no to another. But that's what we've been elected to do, is to make those tough decisions. And I think simply not affording us the opportunity to have those discussions and creating a blank statement that we won't have those conversations is not progressive. That's a bad choice of words, but it's my best shot at it.
Councillor Aberley.
Thank you, Mayor Gandam. Through the chair to council, excuse me, my support for this is partly, as Councillor Nielsen has been saying, but for me, I think what caught me this morning when our youth were talking is that they were our youth talking, and that they have not had the opportunity to live their later teenage years or their ultimate, all the things we look at as we're in our last years of high school and having the basketball and being able to put these team sports forward. And that is also part of the opportunity that I'd like to see, is us getting behind our youth, who are the future, our future citizens. And as we talk about community being important, this is one of the ways that we can support them. Thank you.
Councillor Billingsley.
Thank you. I guess I also struggle with, in the sense that if we don't give the money, does this tournament then not happen? And is it the $5,000 that we give to them just become, it's the nice to haves for their tournament that is going to happen? So I guess, once again, there's many reasons why I struggle, why the city would be giving cash to a tournament that is going to happen anyway. That, in my opinion, this should be, the school board should be kicking in money for this, and maybe they are. And I certainly, some of the things that have been discussed as far as beautification of the, being a showcase for our community, that there certainly could be gifts in kind that could be given towards this, because I do think that this is a great idea. I like the idea of having 23 teams or 22 teams or whatever it was coming to our community. It's a good thing. I just don't I don't agree that this is a contribution from the city that it should be given.
So in the policy, it just states that an organization may submit one application per calendar year prior to the deadline of October 1st. It doesn't specifically say, and I mean, this is totally a gray area. It doesn't say it has to be within this period and it's going to be approved once per year. It just says that all funds shall be used within 1 year of the date of approval. So again, the intended purpose of the grant and aid was that intake process deadline of October 1st, and then the council would debate it part of their budget deliberations. but it doesn't say that it can't be approved outside of that period as well. So it's totally a gray area, and I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other, but.
Did everybody get that message?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just when we were talking about unhoused people, the mayor many times said, we don't have a minister of housing, we don't have a minister of finance. There is a minister of education, and the education has a budget. Wetaskiwin Regional Public School Board has a budget. This is an education as opposed to a municipal decision, and I really don't think we should be using civic funds to fund an educational opportunity. Thank you.
And I don't disagree with yours or Councillor Billingsley's points. They're very much taken. Councillor Blatz.
Through the chair to the rest of council, there is a portion in the application process that states that the application shall include which area the project falls under, which is arts and culture, heritage, recreation, environment, or community pride, which I feel like this hits on a lot of those factors. I don't think it's a matter of, is this an educational event? What is this event? It's an event that's happening in our community that someone is coming forward to ask for money for, which is what our grant and aid procedure is. We have a massive surplus, which I've spoken to before in budget, that I hate the fact that we have such a big surplus in grant and aid. And if there are groups that are out there that want to host an event that's going to contribute to our community pride, I certainly don't think that that's something that we should not even look at. And so I am going to continue to speak in favor of this, but also I don't think that saying that it doesn't fall within our means for grant and aid, I don't think it's correct. So that's just what I wanted to speak to.
Sue, can you speak to the request from the curling? Did it come from the curling club, or was it in terms of city support for the Scotties tournament?
Through the chair to council, I can't actually. I just got a message from one of our staff saying it should be noted that we did administratively support the Scotties.
Administratively or financially?
Well, financially.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was an admin. It was part of our budget and not a council-approved budget. Sorry. Council did approve the budget. You did not make the motion to spend that money. We did.
Anything further? Motion is to support the ASAA provincial tournament hosted by WCHS for $5,000. Councillor Billingsley.
Can we have something in the motion to where the money would be coming from?
Can we say that it's coming from our grant and aid?
If that's where administration sees it.
Do you have a preference where the money's coming from?
Continues. No, I don't. I think it's, as Councillor Blatt said, I think it's a community pride. I think it's youth sponsorship. I think it's a whole bunch of stuff. So where it comes from, to me, is immaterial. If the most logical place for it to come out of is the grants, then so be it. I have no idea whether economic development has marketing money, or like, I don't know where all the pots of gold are sitting, the little pots of gold. So I would entertain a motion or an amendment from Councillor Billingsley if he wants to identify where he thinks it should come from.
I'd like to know where it comes from. And I struggle to say that it comes out of Vern's budget, in the sense that, once again, and I've had this conversation before, I don't want to tell Vern how to spend his money. If Vern believed that this was good for economic development, then he would then just go ahead and, no different than the Scotties, administration thought that that was $5,000 well spent, they spent it. I didn't know about it.
But that speaks to my point as well. I don't know where the best place for it to come out of. So I don't want to state it, same as I don't want to say it should come out of Vern's or anyone else's.
But then, if administration thought that this was a good thing, they would have gone ahead and, no different than the Scotties, and would have spent the money.
So coming from council then my question would go back to you. Where would you like the $5,000 to come from? If it meets your criteria in your mind, that it comes from the grant and aid surplus.
So be it, yes,
Thank you.
sure.
Okay. So amendment to the motion is that the $5,000 would come from the grant and aid. Any discussion on that? Ready for the question? Those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So motion on the floor is city supports the ASAA WCHS provincial tournament hosted in Wetaskiwin for $5,000 coming from the grant and aid. Any further discussion? We're ready for the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you. And item 14F is my request to attend the Abuse in the Political Realm Symposium on April 27th, 28th, which would include per diem as well, and $750 for the registration. And I'll just read off a quick overview. Abuse against municipal officials, elected and staff members has risen dramatically over the past handful of years, and to date, everyone has been dealing with these issues on their own, and often on a case-by-case basis. The Bucking the Trend, Tackling Abuse in Political Realm Symposium allows us to come together and taking on this problem with real-life case studies that drive action and tactics to take home and start using in your day-to-day operations. I don't think I need to tell you how hard this job is on some days. And I think that coming together with your peers, other electeds, and working on how we can mitigate some of those issues, I got pretty excited with the opportunity to be able to attend something like that. So if there's any further discussion, my motion would be to attend the symposium with support from council. Councillor Blatz.
I'll move that. I don't know where it is, but I'll move it. With a follow-up question, though, where is it?
That's a great question.
Bermuda?
Yeah.
I could get to Bermuda, but it's at the Renaissance Edmonton Airport Hotel.
Okay.
So
Close to an airport, you can fly to Bermuda.
There, 27, 28, and then my 10 days following that. So I can really reflect on the information I took.
Contemplative.
Yeah. It's in Nisku,
Okay, thank you.
or Leduc County. Anything further? Ready for the question, those in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Is there anything else from administration? Anything else from council? Welcome back and welcome to 2023, and I'm really looking forward to working with you guys over the next year, and then we'll see what happens in 2024. Motion.
Just a minute, what does that mean?
Meeting adjourned.
I will look forward to work with you in 2023. I don't know about 2024 yet.